YouTube and my 200 plus subscribers. There's not a whole lot to report today, but whenever we have an outing and I learn something new or have something to share, then I like to try to post it here. So we went out on the farm yesterday, and the first thing I wanted to mention was how we set up our range for yesterday. We had been shooting only like at that 2/3 torso that we made a frame for, and so we were backing ourselves up, like 50 yards at a time until we got out to 200, 250. Well, this time we got lazy and we decided to go out to 200 and then start walking in 50 yards in, and we put some cardboard targets up like this, just stuck in the top of a traffic cone, and that was at 50. And then 50 yards further, at 100 yards, we used the old 1 square foot plates that we had, just hanging on some rebar, and that way we could at least hear at 100 if we were hitting the plates. And then, of course, all the way down at 200, we still had the 2/3 torso. So all we had to do was basically sit back at the 200 line and shoot whatever distance we wanted to, instead of having to keep moving our starting position so much. So we did use these. We also made some other homemade targets that we were practicing at from various distances. Yes, that's an awfully big rabbit, but we're here in Texas, so I guess that's true. A little easier to hit when you're 57 years old. So anyway, we made up some of our targets. Now the other thing we did besides shooting at the targets was try out 2 different rounds, kind of compare and contrast. I found these Fiocchi 40 grain, 3,600 feet per second. And so at the end of the video here, you'll get to kind of see what that does. It's basically a varmint round that just explodes right away. And then just kind of a retest of the gold dots that I use, like in my home defense magazines. The star for the day really was this guy that I used mostly. I do have my M&P 15, my Smith & Wesson 16-inch. I also have my 20-inch upper that I put onto this lower, and it's basically my A4 clone. But then also I have this upper here, and my goal for this configuration was just to get something as light as humanly possible. It's a Anderson lower, it's a Delton upper, 16-inch with a pencil barrel, and then I think it's B5 Systems is the name of the company, but an extremely small, light handguard. And on here I've got nothing but the front sight post and the backup sight that I think came with the Delton upper when I bought it. And so this is what I was using yesterday, all the way to 200. I did have, you may have seen this rifle before, and I'd been running a scope on it. But I decided to just go old school with it yesterday. And so this whole thing, when you weigh it, comes out at 6.85 pounds, and so it's extremely light. And when we were kind of checking the zeros at 50, we were right. I was right on with this. Had no problem hitting at 100 yards. Got 100% there. And then when I got down to 200, I think I got 8 out of 10 on the metal. And again, I've just got this kind of cheap backup sight here, and I'm making excuses, but I just haven't shot it too much in this configuration. After I got my 8 out of 10 or whatever at 200, I went ahead and stuck the scope back on, and then it was again perfect at that point. No problem with the scope on there. What I'm probably going to try next time is this little guy right here, which is basically an A2 sight with the carry handle portion cut off. So I might get a better, more adjustable, more accurate peep sight in the back using this. But anyway, this was really fun to be shooting with such a lightweight, no real advantages, just your basic peep sight, and so that was pretty fun. As far as the 2 rounds go, I'm going to try to add on these little video clips at the end here. So it's going to seem disjointed and there's going to be no editing at all. But basically, I shot 3 different types of ammo. I really only compared and contrasted 2. You'll hear me talk about the Fiocchi 40 grain polymer tip. You'll hear me talk about the Gold Dot self-defense round, which is basically a soft tip, and then just a plain Full Metal Jacket from PMC. I didn't actually recover any of the bullets that traveled through my gel, but you'll definitely be able to compare and contrast the Gold Dot, which generally holds together, and compare that to the Fiocchi, which just expands and fragments almost instantly. So I'll try to hook that onto the video here, and you can kind of see and compare and contrast the results there. So that's what we did yesterday. Okay, we're going to test out a new round I picked up. It's Fiocchi. It's 40 grain and 3,600 feet per second. So it's probably just going to disintegrate when it hits something. But we're going to try to catch it in some of our old gel down there. Okay, well, let's take a look at that first. Okay, I'm back at home. We tested out 3 rounds. We had the Fiocchi 40 grain going super fast. We had the Speer Gold Dot 55 grain, and then we had a Full Metal Jacket from PMC. We weren't able to keep a whole lot of these, but I just because everything was just bouncing around, and my recycled gel is looking pretty bad. But at any rate, this one was the Fiocchi, and you can see that it really starts expanding about less than an inch in, and you get that nice big initial wound channel and tons of fragmenting. You did have a couple pieces that actually did make it all the way out the end of this gel, but you're getting a good wound cavity with this, but you're not getting a lot of penetration. You see it in this over here. Again, it kind of skimmed the side of the gel for a little bit, but you can see it really expanding out there and fragmenting. Now this one right here, I believe, is the Speer Gold Dot, and again, we weren't able to capture it. It went out, went in one end and went out the other, but you can see it made a pretty decent wound channel, and so I'm still using that Gold Dot as my home defense ammunition.